Let me know when the audio is clear. I'll do some Reiki. And thank you, God, for clearing that out. I'll say it again. Really appreciate it. Hello, hello. All right, let's do some Reiki while this dries. me know when the audio is better, guys. Just gonna let it ride for a minute. I do have some other stuff planned though. The long shift. A double, good goodness. That is too dry for my preference. I think I need to make another batch. Spicy and content, right?
That's funny. That's funny. Not zoned out, zoned in.
I was focused. But I need to. No, I didn't forget you.
Make more of this.
I'm so close to the bottom now. It's hard to pick up. Just one more to do. How's the audio? Still need to work on it a bit. Crackly. Okay. It's crackly. We'll clear it out. Give me just a second. Thank you.
Stranger Things theme song for some reason. I don't know why. Or like that soundtrack. You know. Does anybody else hear it? Sounds like it belongs in Stranger Things. On the Run, Time Cop in 1983. See who that was? Sounds like it belongs in a Stranger Things soundtrack. I like this one. Gravity, I think. Clarity. Zed.
I dive into frozen waves where the past comes back to life. Fight fear for the selfish pain, it was worth it every time. Hold still right before we crash, cause we both know how this ends. A clock ticks till it breaks your glass, and I drown in you again.
I really like these. They look like cotton candy, almost. To file them down. The colors.
Not sharp enough. Maybe this one. So impatient, Bibberty guy. No, I've been watching. Just focused. These are gonna last me a week or two. I want them to be right. I might repaint them a few times, but this is how I show my love. Baby. This is how an angel cries. Is the sound still off though? Is it good? Good. Thank you. Yes, mate. second version of this, I think. Is that what's happening there? No. It's the ending. Goodness, I thought they were playing double. What is this? Twilight Zone. Almost done. Yes, Hell at Night. I actually really like that one. It's in my playlist over here, look. Because it's hilarious. So funny. To all the karmics and the exes, get out of our way.
Heartbreak's a funny thing, how it makes you think, what it makes you want. Why when it ends does get revenge sound better than moving on. Damn, I'd love to live and let it go, forgive and forget. Holding a grudge ain't what I wanna do, but when it comes to you, I hope it's hell at night, straight to the morning. I hope you close your eyes and just can't ignore it, 'cause it's too damn loud, tossing and turning. I hope it's hell at night and my memories burning.
Hey, I hope you hear me every time you play a song. I hope you meet the right person, but y'all never get along. I hope you know that you ain't right and you so good at burning bridge. I hope you finally find some love and every day he hurt your feelings. I hope you turn your heater on and it blow cold. I hope you leave your car running at the store and it gets stolen. I hope you have a nightmare every single day of your life. I hope you have a bad morning and one hell of a night.
I hope it's hell at night, straight to the morning. I hope you close your eyes, just can't ignore it, 'cause it's too damn loud, tossing and turning. I hope it's hell at night, my memories burning.
Hey, I hope you see me every time you close your eyes and every time you think about me you hear thunder in the sky. I'm out the way and by the way I hope you lived and what you learned. Hope you go deep into the woods and you make the wrong turn.
Hope it burns you up like a cigarette, like a last call shot straight to the head. Hope you stare at the wall or an old home screen, kinda hoping I call, 'cause you can't call me. I hope it's hell at night, straight to the morning. I hope you close your eyes, just can't ignore it, 'cause it's too damn loud, tossing and turning. I hope it's hell at night, my memories burning, burning.
I'm packing my bags that I didn't unpack the last time. I'm saying see you again so many times, it's becoming my tagline. 'Cause you know the truth, I'd rather hold you than try to catch this flight. So many things I'd rather say, but for now it's goodbye. You say I'm always leaving. When you're sleeping on the dark. driveways. Don't like your words alive. I'm not getting Lilia this early unless you pack your bags. You're coming. Tell me love me from afar. Never be alive. 'Cause no one knows what it does. I leave you anymore. I love the way that you care, the way that you love me way down here. Talking to ghosts, begging the cards to show me a way into your heart. I used to question it.
A song came up today. Thought of all my Dans in the chat.
Everybody's asleep, let's talk about him. Let's talk about high school, talk about death. Talk about the long ride home from the grave. But we were too fucked up on Tomb's birthday. Seasonal bugs in a canvas tent. Seasonal friendships to see the road in. You're appealing to the parts that you know I hold dear. Within the best 5 minutes of a shitty old year. And I'm so glad we're here. 'Cause I'm with my best friend Dan now.
I'm with my best friend Dan now.
And around the midnight, waiting for the sun to rise. A couple of hometown heroes fighting over politics, sitting and remembering young men from different sides. We're so alone most of the time. Most of the time we don't have anyone. Where do we go when we die? I wouldn't mind right here. I wouldn't mind at all. The dying light of a flashlight lens. You tried to tell me how unfair it is. That I have what I have and you got what you got. Said I'd give it all back if I could, I cannot. Moon calls pierced through the violet sky. Think I stood right here back when Carlo died. Said I hated the way you made it all about me. spending now, camping on the county line, hand around the middle light, waiting for the sun to rise. A couple of hometown heroes fighting over politics, sitting and remembering young men from different sides. We're so alone most of the time, most of the time we don't have anyone. Where do we go when we die? I wouldn't mind right here, no, I wouldn't mind at all. I wouldn't mind right here, no, I wouldn't mind at all. I wouldn't mind at all. Everybody's asleep, let's talk about it. Let's talk about high school, talk about death. Before the moment tries to disappear. Don't the sky look pretty up here?
Well done. You know what I'm hearing suddenly? I will play one more before I switch to this true crime. That's Noah Can, yeah. It's Noah Collins. What Sleep Token song were you thinking? Oh, was this played in Brie? I remember that. Couldn't remember that. They're both good picks. I'll go with this one for now.
I wanna be a provider. Guarding you is you like a spider. Roll or die, you bet I'm a rider. You're out of shot, you're a secret insider.
can do both. Freya. East Coast? What do you mean? It says you're from NC? Is that North Carolina? What's up?
Exchanging the yes and silence with something unsaid and both ends. Surely we know the difference.
If you're in North Carolina, how are you from the East Coast or on the East Coast? I'm on the East Coast currently. How's I'm a little confused. Unless you're traveling. Thank you.
clock strikes upon the hour, and the sun begins to fade. Still enough time to figure out how to chase my blues away. Till right up till now, it's the light of day that shows me how. When the night falls, my loneliness calls. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Fell in love and lost my senses, spinning through the town. Sooner or later the fever ends, and I wind up feeling down. Need a man who'll take a chance on a love that burns up.
No. When I say East Coast, I mean, well, I guess it's north too, but even for North Carolina, I'm around New York, Maine, Massachusetts. That's the East Coast. When I say East Coast, that's down south. North Carolina's down south. It's southern. It's not East Coast.
Enough to last when the night falls, my loneliness calls. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. So I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. And I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Somebody. Somebody, yeah, somebody. Somebody, yeah, somebody. Somebody, yeah, with somebody who loves me. Somebody, somebody, yeah, somebody. Somebody, yeah, somebody. Somebody, yeah, with somebody who loves me.
Yeah, but no, it's the south. It's on the South Atlantic. I don't consider that East Coast. I'm up by Canada, bitch. Stop. Just stop. Yeah, I'm not saying it's the West Coast, but it's not. No. That's down south. And it even says that. Just a fact check. If I'm wrong, I'll fix it, right? But North Carolina, yes, technically is on the East Coast, but it's also bridging. It says its coastline featuring the Outer Banks is part of the South Atlantic. It's southern, like I said. It's not like technically, yeah, but it's bordering. It's south, right? Southeastern borders, right? Exactly what I just said. But it's not. That's not. No, I wouldn't consider that the East Coast. Southeast. Yeah. But it's south. And maybe that's just a northern thing. But there is absolutely, up here, there's absolutely a differentiation point between the south and the north. A big one. Okay, so if you're down south and you're talking about the East Coast, somebody from the north is typically going to think of somewhere up on the East Coast. Like, yes, we know east is to the side, but no. Not when I'm bordering Canada. Is that the East Coast? That's the South, babe. No matter what end of the side, East or West Coast it's on, it's still the South. There is a difference. You have to be specific. Yeah. People putting their foot down at right semantics. Look, trying to insult me. That's not clever. Get out. You're toxic as shit. And why does that make you so angry? Why did that trigger you so badly? I'm real curious. There's nothing I said was invalid or unviable. You even said that on Google when you pulled it up. What do you mean? Are you okay? I heard no, he's not. Yeah, I could tell. That was a really, really stupid thing to get angry about, and I know that's not what he's really angry about. That was just a trigger point. It was like a way to lash. It was a way to try to vent out some of his underlying frustrations about everything else in his life that he hates. Cheers. Angry, so angry. So angry. Maybe I should do a little bit of meal prepping. Should I wait till tomorrow to do that? I did so much today and yesterday. Got a lot done. Some other stuff, but I got some of that done too. Speaking of which, I need to switch my laundry. Come back. People are dying on Mount Baldi and nobody's talking about it. It's Kyle hates hiking.
Baldi, 3 bodies.
What the hell is going on with Mount Baldi lately?
A tragic discovery on Mount Baldi. 3 bodies. 3 bodies. 3 bodies. They were found dead on a treacherous trail called Devil's Back.
Oh no, it wasn't even the caps lock. He was talking about the East or the West Coast, and then he put a period, and then he said beach, as if to say such and such and such and such. Bitch! Thought that was clever. But also caps. Yeah. I was like, no, dude, you're fucking toxic as shit. You can go. Like, what's wrong with you? Some beach somewhere.
That's right. They found 3 bodies in basically the same spot on the mountain on the exact same day.
Like, why did that make you so salty? Well, I'm a bitch now? Because of a little geography? What's wrong with you? Why are you so mad? Who peed in your Cheerios this week?
If that sounds like a freak...
It's Friday. You need to relax.
Coincidence, well, I thought the same thing at first. But then, I started finding older cases. Like this man. Or this woman. And this man. It then became clear to me that there is a pattern on Mount Baldi, and it's so undeniable that some people are now even calling for the mountain to be shut down entirely. So we're going to start with the most recent viral story, figure out what the hell happened, and then we're going to dive into what I'm calling the Mount Baldi files. The dark history that nobody sees in the fleeting headlines. Now, I don't usually cover recent stories on this channel, but a few weeks ago when my DMs and my emails started getting blown up with the story of Marcus Minch Casanova, well, I realized that I needed to make an exception to this rule. And there were 2 reasons for this. Number 1, Marcus's story is just the latest example of Mount Baldi's disturbing pattern. And number 2, there is a very important message that I think needs to be heard now, not years from now. That's related to all this, and so I'll be sharing that at the end of the video. On December 29th, 2025, Marcus Minch Casanova and his friend climbed towards the frozen summit of Mount Baldi. And at the exact same time, over 50 miles away from the mountain and from the comfort of his own home, Marcus's father, Ken, followed their progress on a GPS tracker. For a while, everything seemed normal. The tracker made steady progress up the mountain, a typical pace that a 19-year-old like Marcus would keep. But then, all of a sudden, that little tracker stopped making sense. It wasn't climbing anymore. It wasn't moving along the route like it had been doing all day. It looked stuck off trail down in a gully, the kind of place that a hiker had no business being stuck in. Ken's brain immediately jumped to the worst possible conclusion. I mean, what else was he supposed to think, right? And so he started texting Marcus's GPS. He sent multiple desperate messages to his son, hoping to just get any response. But Ken's phone screen stayed frozen, and so did Marcus's GPS tracker. Ken didn't know what had happened yet, but he knew that something must have gone horribly wrong. Marcus Minch Casanova was 19 years old and a freshman at Santa Clara University's business school. He was also an adventurer and someone who loved the outdoors. And that detail matters because it's easy to hear 19-year-olds on a mountain, and just assume recklessness, right? It's easy to assume that Marcus went out there doing something stupid for a thrill. I need to tell you right now, by all accounts that I could find, that was not who Marcus was. Definitely not according to the people closest to him anyways. And so when Marcus told his father that he wanted to hike Mount Baldi over his Christmas break, Ken, his father, didn't immediately shut the idea down. Although to be clear, he definitely didn't love it either. Ken said that a little alarm bell went off in his head when he heard his son's plan. Now, Marcus hadn't climbed Mount Baldi before, and Ken had already heard about many deaths on Mount Baldi in the past, and so he told Marcus that he thought it was dangerous and that at the very least he should probably research it. And Marcus, to his credit, as well as his friend's credit, his friend who he was hiking with, well, they took this advice, which is actually one of the scariest parts of this story. Marcus didn't go into this hike blind or unprepared. He actually spent considerable time doing research and trying to get ready, trying to make sure he was going to be safe. Ken and his wife researched the hike as well, but what they found only made them even more worried. They read multiple stories of hikers dying on Mount Baldi in the winter specifically, a few of which actually we're going to be covering very shortly. And to make matters worse, they learned that the weather on the mountain could sometimes keep helicopters from rescuing someone if things did go wrong. But again, Marcus and his friend did their homework. This friend was actually a firefighter trained in search and rescue, and the pair tried to get a sense of Mount Baldi's conditions by reading recent trip reports. And through this research, they believed that they could handle the hike with microspikes and trekking poles instead of bringing heavier duty winter gear like ice axes and crampons. And I gotta say, man, I've never hiked Mount Baldi, but just as a hiker myself, I don't really blame them for this. They hadn't seen any recent reports specifically calling out icy conditions on the mountain. Hell, they even looked over satellite imagery before they left to validate these reports. And so, on paper, they were prepared. But what they didn't know is that over the Christmas period, storms hit the mountain hard, dumping rain and snow, and then it all froze into something incredibly dangerous. Ken later said that the satellite imagery that they looked at was a few days behind. And so by the time that Marcus and his friends set out, they were hiking into conditions that were way more dangerous than what they thought they were signing up for. Now, I gotta say something real quick here. There's a very important message at the end of this video, like I said earlier, and there's a very important give back call out coming soon, one that really matters to me, and honestly one that I hope you're gonna join me in. This audience, you guys, you've given me such an incredible opportunity to actually make a difference. And I'm so grateful for that. And another thing I'm so grateful for is the support that sponsors give this channel, because slowly moved up the mountain just like it was supposed to. Eventually, Marcus and his friend stopped for lunch right around 8,700 feet up, or about 2,650 meters. During this break, Ken and Marcus texted each other. Conversation was painfully normal. Talking about the temperature, the cold, the kind of casual back and forth that makes you feel like, if you're Ken, he's fine. It's all good. And by this point, the summit was actually very close enough that if it was my brain on the mountain, well, I would start thinking in terms of reaching the finish line rather than focusing on safety. I can't speak for Marcus, obviously. That's just how I think I would probably feel if I was in his shoes. Marcus's lunch break ended, and they continued hiking up the mountain. And this is actually what brings us back to the moment that I opened up with. Ken was watching the tracker when he noticed that something was wrong. The pointer looked like it was stuck in a gully, and he assumed that Marcus and his friend had left the trail to try to get down the mountain via some alternate route. It just didn't seem right. And so Ken sent an urgent message to Marcus, but of course he received no reply. A few minutes passed and he tried again, but still nothing. And I know that all of you can relate to that anxiety of checking your phone every couple seconds, waiting for a text that seemingly never comes. Can you imagine if this was your son on a mountain like this? My goodness, man. Ken never got that text back from his son. Instead, he received a phone call from Marcus's friend. This friend told Ken that he was sorry, and he told him that Marcus had fallen. Ken and his wife got in the car and they raced towards the mountain. Ken also messaged Marcus once again, because even after hearing that he had fallen, his brain, was still clinging on to some hope. So he sent his son a message essentially telling him that help was coming, which is just, man, these stories hit different when they're recent, man. Maybe that's another reason why I don't usually cover these. But when they arrived at the mountain, the scene was chaotic. Crews had been sent out on foot, but the helicopter couldn't yet attempt a rescue because the weather was too bad. Sound familiar? But eventually an air medic was lowered down and confirmed that Marcus Minch Casanova had passed away. Ken would later describe what happened in a way that made it horrifyingly easy to picture. Apparently, Marcus and his friend were crossing a steep, icy slope, and Marcus's friend actually managed to cross safely. He went first. But then he turned around and he saw Marcus sliding. Ken said that Marcus slid about 600 feet and ended up hitting his head on a rock at roughly 30 miles per hour. Man. After this, Marcus's friend, probably in shock, did the only thing that he could, he hiked down to a place where he got some cell service, and then of course he called emergency services. And here's the wildest part, as if all of those things, all the things that happened on December 29th weren't devastating enough. Well, that very same day, responders located 2 other deceased hikers in basically the same location on the mountain. Those 2 men were later identified as Juan Lopez and Bayron Garcia. And so by the time the sun went down, this became the story of 3 deaths in one area of the mountain, all of which happened on the exact same day. That's the kind of headline that goes viral, which is why a few weeks ago you probably saw Mount Baldi all over the news, just like I did. Ken was interviewed after his son's story blew up online. His message to the world was just so devastating and honestly really, really important. And I'm gonna save it for the end of this video because I think the message will be even more impactful once you truly understand that Marcus's story is just the latest headline. It's just the beginning. I'll tell you right now, it wasn't until I really dove deep into what I'm calling the Mount Baldi files and really learned about some of these previous cases. It wasn't until I did that I truly understood how important Marcus's father's message is. And so, without further ado, let's get into the files. So when I heard about these 3 deaths on Mount Baldi in late 2025, it felt so extreme that it almost didn't compute. It almost made the whole thing feel like a freak glitch in reality. But what's disturbing is that the mountain had already shown us this exact kind of cluster before. Back in February of 2016, Mount Baldi didn't take 3 people in one day, but it did take 3 people in 1 month. The first death was in early February, and it was 23-year-old Daniel Wynn. Now, Daniel was hiking on the Devil's Backbone Trail with some friends when one of them started slipping on a steep, icy section. Daniel reached out to try and help him to keep him from sliding, and in that split second, Daniel lost his own footing. He slid off the north side of the ridgeline and fell roughly 1,500 feet. The incident was reported early that morning, and search crews located him from the air not long after. But heavy winds made the recovery difficult and slowed down teams actually reaching him, which, again, might sound familiar. Tragically, by the time ground crews actually did end up getting to him, Daniel was gone. And this one is so sad because Daniel's story is far more than just a hiker slipped and had an accident. It's a young man making the most human, instinctive choice possible, trying to save his friend's life, and Mount Baldi punished him for it anyways. And then just 4 days later, on Saturday, February 6th, another call came in. A 47-year-old man named Dong Xing Liu, also known as Tony, was hiking with his wife when they both slipped off the trail and fell about 120 feet down a slope. This report came in shortly after 5 p.m. and at that exact time, the sheriff's department was already dealing with another emergency. 5 other hikers were stuck on a different icy section of trail. A helicopter crew located Tony and his wife around 7,800 feet in elevation, but rescuers didn't reach them until later that night, after 8 p.m. Tony's wife survived, but tragically Tony did not. And so now there were 2 Mount Baldi deaths in less than a week. And the common thread was steep terrain that had turned into an icy death trap. After those first 2 deaths, officials temporarily shut down multiple trails around Mount Baldi. But basically, as soon as the trails opened back up, it happened again, a third fatality. On February 20th, a 45-year-old man from San Diego slipped and fell while hiking the Devil's Backbone Trail, and searchers eventually located him roughly 1,000 feet down the mountain. After the rescue effort, he was transported to the hospital, but tragically did not make it. Now, his name was never released, but I did find one very disturbing fact about his story in my research. I'm not sure what the first 2 hikers were wearing on their feet, but apparently this third hiker was wearing crampons, which is shocking because that's about as hardcore as your winter traction can possibly get. And so this story from 2016 shows that even if you're wearing literally the optimal traction, at least as far as I'm aware, you're still at risk on Mount Baldi. By the end of February 2016, you had 3 people dead in 1 month on the same mountain. And once I realized that Baldi had already had a 3 deaths month before, I stopped looking at late 2025's disaster like it was just an isolated incident. But it gets even worse because just days before the February 2016 madness I just told you about, there was another incident. And this one was a little bit different. On January 23rd, 2016, 35-year-old Jason Lopez and his brother-in-law, Rob Wayman, set their sights on climbing Timber Mountain, which is in the Mount Baldi area. It's very close. Timber Mountain can be a challenging hike from everything that I've gathered, but for 2 experienced guys like Jason and Rob, it was supposed to be just another long winter day of summiting another great peak. And the day actually started out pretty normal for them as they climbed out of Icehouse Canyon, hiking through snow-covered trees and winding their way past the tree line. But above 8,000 feet, the trail changed completely. Slick ice coated the narrow path and the steep slopes below it, turning what had been a routine climb into something far more dangerous. These are the kind of conditions where every single step matters. They continued climbing, trusting in their experience, but no amount of experience could have prepared them for what happened next. As they were making their way up a snow-slicked ridge, Jason's trekking pole got caught. This caused him to lose his balance, and before he could recover, his feet slipped out from under him. And so in an instant, Jason was sliding backwards, completely out of control, down the icy mountainside. Rob could only stand and watch in complete horror, I might add, as Jason plunged roughly 1,000 feet down into the snowy unknown below. Rob began yelling Jason's name, but he heard nothing in response. And so he hiked down to the saddle of the mountain where a little bit of cell service was possible, and that's actually where he found a group of other hikers who agreed to go search for Jason on the hillside. After descending roughly 1,000 feet, one of the fellow hikers spotted something that would send chills down just about anyone's spine. It was a trail of blood. The bright red blood stood out on the snowy white ground, and as the hiker followed this trail, he called out to the rest of the group that he had found Jason. When Rob got there, he could see that Jason was hurt really bad, but by some kind of miracle, he was actually semi-conscious and even moaning a little bit in pain and confusion. The hikers used some of their extra jackets to cover Jason and help prevent hypothermia, and with just 1 bar of cell service, the group was able to call for help and confirm that a helicopter was on the way. Jason shivered and drifted in and out of consciousness, and after 45 tense, cold minutes, the helicopter was able to extract him. Now, his injuries were staggering. He had a fractured skull, serious brain trauma, among many other injuries. His recovery was described by doctors as a long, uncertain road ahead, but he had somehow survived this treacherous fall. However, as you now know, just a few weeks later, well, Mount Baldi would manage to claim the 3 lives that I just told you about right before Jason's story. Jason's survival was nothing short of remarkable, and his story is also a reminder of how quickly conditions can change, even on our favorite mountains, and how survival sometimes depends on the courage and kindness of complete strangers. And so, what happens when no strangers are around to help? Well, that brings us to what is perhaps the most well-known horror story from Mount Baldi, the disappearance and death of actor Julian Sands. Now, I have a whole other video on this, and so I'm going to keep it brief right here. But I mean, you can't talk about Mount Baldi without at least mentioning Julian Sands' wild story. Julian Sands was born in England, and he became a well-known actor, starring in films like A Room with a View and The Phantom of the Opera. And from everything that people said about him, hiking seemed to be his way to kind of take a temporary break from the Hollywood lifestyle every now and again. On January 13th, 2023, Julian started up the Baldi Bowl Trail by himself. Now, he climbed Mount Baldi about 200 times in the past, including winter ascents, and he had also climbed in the Alps and the Andes. He was not a novice hiker, is what I'm getting at. Hell, he even had so much experience on Mount Baldi itself. But by 7:30 p.m., he still hadn't returned from his hike. His family failed to reach him, and so they reported him missing, and almost immediately, storms started slamming the mountain with high winds, heavy snow, and near zero visibility, making searching incredibly difficult. His car was located at the Baldi Bowl trailhead, and phone ping data placed him on a ridge between Baldi Bowl and Good Canyon. A massive search was launched, but week after week, they kept coming up empty-handed. A final search went out on June 17th, 2023, a few months later, with more than 80 volunteers and staff, by the way, and helicopters and drones, but even then, Good Canyon proved to be too difficult, and a part of it actually ended up going unsearched. On June 1st, Julian Sands' family thanked everyone, basically accepting that the search was over. His fate was still a total mystery. But then, 3 days later, a group of hikers led by a man named Bill Dwyer descended into Good Canyon. And suddenly, Bill spotted a boot, and then another, and then some trekking poles, a pile of winter clothing. And finally, he found scattered human remains, pulled out a wallet from some of the clothes, and the name on the ID was Julian Sands. Authorities later ruled the cause of death to be undetermined. A full autopsy report was not publicly released, at least that I could find, and questions do linger still. I mean, why was Julian Sands located in Good Canyon? It's not exactly where he should have been hiking. And why was he found with micro spikes but not crampons, and without a helmet, ice axe, or a satellite GPS device? I mean, Julian Sands, again, was an experience.
It's funny that you just said that. You said King something, Dan. I'm not actually done with my nails. I was going to finish these ones and then do the writing after. And I was planning to put something like all I ask of you on one of them, and then the Phantom King on one, and then another one I was planning to do the Opera Babe. Good call.
Probably should have known to be carrying those things. I don't know. Clearly, experience is important, but it doesn't eliminate risk. And actually, nothing makes that more obvious than this next story, which is the disturbing fate of the man who is almost certainly the most experienced Mount Baldi hiker in history. I'm not even joking. Many people called Sam Kim the mayor of Mount Baldi. He'd been up and down the mountain so many times that, I mean, it's cliche, but he knew it like the back of his hand. However, when the sun went down on April 7th, 2017, Sam hadn't returned from the mountain, and his wife just got this sick feeling that the mayor of Mount Baldi might be in some serious trouble. Sam's wife, Sunny, was used to his erratic hiking schedule, but this time, Sam hadn't called to give any updates, and when Sunny tried his phone in the morning of April 8th, it went straight to voicemail. At 78 years old, Sam Kim loved to hike. He and Sunny had operated a gas station and convenience store in LA, working tirelessly for 9 years, hardly ever taking a day off. And finally, Sam retired at the age of 69 and pretty much began hiking full time. And one of the most astonishing parts of this story is that Sam had climbed Mount Baldi over 800 times. He actually had a personal goal of reaching 1,000 summits before turning 80, hence how he got the nickname, the mayor of Mount Baldi. And so by the early 2010s, Sam was climbing Mount Baldi weekly, sometimes even daily. He was known for starting his hikes at unconventional hours and for hiking in all seasons and all weather conditions. He very quickly became a familiar figure on the mountain, usually wearing his iconic blue jacket, passing out snacks, Cliff Bars, jelly beans, Doritos, and just talking with everyone he passed on the trip. This guy was beloved. So on that Friday, April 7th, Sam planned to go up and down Mount Baldi just like he'd done a zillion times before. But that day, he waited a little bit longer than usual for traffic to die down before heading out. He drove to Manker Flats, which is one of the main trailheads for Mount Baldi, and he parked his white Land Cruiser before starting up the Ski Hut Trail, and
Smells like weed in here. Anybody else smell weed? Yeah. Uno momento. I need some sleep token for my yoga session. This is a good one. I like this one. Lovely.
When we were made, it was no accident. We were tangled up like branches in a flood.
How are you like this? box of matches right here. Except for their cards. The romance advice is go to karaoke and sing a duet. Or it doesn't have to be that, but it's like singing with a partner. This could be future energy. Could be near future. Do household tasks that you know your partner hates, or this is like working together to work on a project or something. Or house stuff. Go skinny dipping. Sounds like an adventure. Only with the right person, though. Stay in and have a game night. Read aloud to each other. Create a relationship bucket list. Do household chores you know your partner hates. Interesting. This could also be like doing this stuff for yourself, right? Like getting the stuff done you don't really like to do, but you know it's good for you, and that will also help align a healthy relationship. It's like feng shui of the frequency. Anyway. Oh my goodness. Oh, somebody's upset. Why are you mad?
They were together all that time. He was taking her for granted. She wants to see if there's more.
absolutely potheads. That's why they always had the munchies.
I'm chasing what you got, and I'm not being myself. When I'm throwing some unconscious lines, maybe if you recognized it. Hang up when I call, leave me up alone. Disconnect from my soul, even if it makes you sad. I don't got what you need, just be sure when you leave that you leave me in a body bag.
I should meet me in a party book.
The frog pose. Is that what that's called? The stoners! You guys are awesome. loud. To my tribe.
Hey, you little monkey. Thank you for being here and being good vibes. Here's to you. Here's to us. final bowl pack and bid you a sweet farewell for the evening, but I shall be back soon. In the meantime, sweet dreams, grand rising, and happy in between for those on the interim. Remember to pray. Thank you for being here. Do no harm. Take no shit. And I'll catch you in the